This gameplay video is brought to you by very generous patron Shuffles. Frodo versus Captain Sisay. And we have white mana if we get rid of swords. Do we want to get rid of swords? First time playing the deck, so let's see how fast we can go with it. We are on the draw. Phial of Galadriel to start things off for our opponent, which I don't really think much of this thing, so it'd be interesting to see what my opponent can do with it. And now we have white mana from the Silent Clearing, so we don't have to go for the Chrome Mox for white mana anymore. Get our commander into play on turn 1. And unless our opponent can get down a rock here, still a few turns away from the Captain Sisay, there is a Realm Breaker. Just put this card in a new colourless deck. I forget the name of the commander actually. Begins with a Z from the precon. Hopefully we'll get those on Magic Online. Activating the Realm Breaker straight away to see if he gets a land. And there is an Aganjo. So takes that away from us. Okay, and there is Bilbo's Ring for us. So we could play that out. Can't equip it though. Could go for a Nazgul here. Or we could level up the Frodo. Put black on the Chrome Mox and go for Swords to Plowshares onto the commander. Which might be a good tempo play. Let's drop the Swamp. And yeah, against my better judgment, let's throw the Demonic Tutor underneath the Mox here. Because I do want to keep hold of that Nazgul. So we'll level up Frodo to a 2-3. And it'll be ready to dump 3 mana into on a following turn. We do want to start being tempted by the ring, of course. Okay, just going for the Realm Breaker again. So not going for their commander. Maybe expecting a Swords. And they do manage to hit another land from us, a Plains this time. Okay, City of Brass is more white mana for us, so we'll throw that down. And I think we're fine to guarantee a Temptation of the Ring here with the Nazgul, and that way we'll still be able to hold up the swords. We do have all 9 Nazgul in the deck, so the ring tempts us for the first time. And we'll have Frodo become the Ring Bearer. Plus counter on each Nazgul. Obviously we've only got 1 at the moment. And we are still holding up white mana, really showing our opponent that we've got that swords available to us. Could maybe start looting with the ring next turn if we get to throw it up to level 2. Maybe our opponent's got some protection for the Sisay and has to play out the Captain Sisay into Heroic Intervention or something like that. Okay, there's Imirari's Weight going for the mana doubling first. And that means that he's got the 2 mana for the Realm Breaker, instead going for an artifact. And that is a Circle of Loyalty, so going to get knights every time he casts a legendary spell, which probably be a lot of legends in a Captain Sisay deck. Okay, so we draw into Lurrus, ready to play out our commander from the bin. Throw out the Castle Lochthwain, and I think we're fine to level up our Frodo in that case. And now we can be tempted by the ring with this, because there's no other means of doing it at the moment. I think we just continue to hold up the Swords to Plowshares. So attacking with everything. And we hit the Frodo. Is going to have Frodo be the Ring Bearer. And that is a plus counter on the Nazgul again, because we were tempted by the ring when Frodo hit. And now we're at level 2. Was hoping to get to the 5th or the 4th level on the ring much more quickly than this. It's not quite panning out for us, unfortunately. Have to try again after this game, I think, regardless of the outcome. Seeing a Pendlehaven from our opponent. And there is our beloved Captain Sisay. So making a knight token, we're going to have to go for the Trailblazer's Boots, or probably Bilbo's Ring would be better, because now our opponent has a 4-4 Vigilance Knight in the way. They are buffing their creatures, so while they're really big, Bilbo will be able to get through regardless, because it's the Ring Bearer, so creatures with power more than 2 won't be able to block it, might be able to forego the equipment. Okay, a Chroma, Vision of Ixodor. So let's test our opponent on some protection, make them recast the Sisay next turn. Haven't gone south of our starting life total yet, thanks to our opponent going reasonably slow. Okay, and another land for us. Can we play lands out of the bin with Lurrus? Yes, it's just any permanent, so we can get lands, could get the Mox Amber, can't play the Nazgul, so maybe drawing a card with the ring is just going to be a better thing to do here. Throw out a land. Out comes Bilbo's Ring. Argument to be made for us swinging in first and looting as well. Equip our commander for 1 because it is a halfling. And now it has hexproof and unblockable during our turn. A Chroma gives a bunch of keywords during the combat step, but we're unblockable, we're not really interested here. So swing in, Frodo triggers because the ring bearer is on level 3. So we'll draw a card from Bilbo's ring first. And then we've got more discard fodder for the rings. So there's a Sign in Blood, speaking of discard fodder. And that draws us into a Deadly Rollick is good to keep hold of, I think. So let's get rid of the Trailblazer's Boots. We can bring that out with Lurrus anyway. Now once again Frodo hits and we will be tempted by the ring. I think we can try and get into a Nazgul or something with the Sign in Blood. So yeah, let Frodo resolve here and go through to the second main. Frodo still being our ring bearer. The Nazgul gets another buff. We will not have hexproof on our stuff during our opponent's turn, unfortunately, thanks to the wording on Bilbo's ring. But we can grab ourselves a scrubland and let's go for this Sign in Blood. It's been okay getting some life from the Frodo throughout the game. Only just going down to 39. Okay, a Talisman of Hierarchy, don't really need at this point. Spirit Mantle could be useful. But we're really just holding up the Deadly Rollick at this point. And then the Realm Breaker, once again being activated at the end of the turn. So continuing to load up our graveyard into Lurrus. They don't know about the Lurrus, of course. But managing to get more planes from us. Alright, and there is the Path to Exile our opponent needed, so don't have any protection unfortunately. There is protection in the deck, just haven't drawn into it. They did need to remove our commander here. So we will certainly grab a land. And Frodo will have to go back to the command zone, because Lurrus only cares about the graveyard. And there we see Captain Sisay again, one card in our opponent's hand. And going through to combat here, it will be 16 damage plus 1, is it? Yeah. We obviously can't hold up the Deadly Rollick now because our commander's gone down, so yeah, we're going to take a big hit here. I can decide in the meantime, during our turn, our opponent might get something else down that's relevant, but it might be that we should have got rid of a Chroma there. The Nazgul could potentially take away a Knight once it gets another plus counter, so I'll just take the damage here. That is 18 damage. So we go straight down to 21. Alright, and that is an unquestioned authority, so another means of protection on our commander. Let's play it out here. Yeah, really lacking a means of being tempted by the ring again, unfortunately. So we're just going to have to take another big hit from a Chroma. Let's go for the Captain Sisay so that they can't tutor up a big finisher. And then maybe we're fine to just get down the Lurrus as a chump blocker. Deal a bit more damage to ourselves in order to do it, so yeah, maybe it's not worth doing, but we take more damage from the creatures. Alright, so that allows us into the Mox Amber, which is obviously another mana for us this turn. And then we can go for a Talisman and equip up the Bilbo's ring ready for next turn maybe. Gonna have to put 5 mana into Frodo next turn. We are tapping out on our opponent and showing him that we don't have anything though. So Bilbo's ring being given to Frodo. And yeah, just a case of hoping that we survive next turn. Our opponent activating the Circle of Loyalty to make another Knight token. And there goes the Realm Breaker again, which they haven't missed on yet. They do know that we have Lurrus now, of course, because it's on the battlefield. We've got a Thief's Tools there that we could play, assuming Lurrus is still in play next turn. And they decided on an Access Tunnels for us. They don't have a small creature to put that on, so not sure that's going to be relevant. And we're just hoping our opponent's in top deck mode really. He's had one card in hand for the longest time. Okay, so the Realm Breaker being activated again. Search for any number of Praetor cards and put them onto the battlefield. So there is a Vorinclex. That's the only one in the deck, thankfully. Gonna get hit for a bunch here though, and that is a Trampler. So we're gonna have to block with our Lifelinker, I think. Our opponent might just go wide on us here. So Vorinclex being buffed up to a 10-10 with Trample. We've got at least 18 damage here, and then these probably go wide on us, so we will just block and take our loss here. So yeah, the Path to Exile absolutely being relevant there. A distinct lack of Temptation of the Ring, so didn't even get it all the way up here. The aim is to get the ring fully leveled up and then hit with Frodo in like an alpha swing, so we'll try again and see if we can make that happen. Up against Corvold, Fakehurst King this time, and a Nazgul with Mask of Memory could be decent. Obviously got protection for Frodo as well in the Mother of Runes, so yeah, quietly hopeful that this will work. So, as ever, 99% of the time we're going to get down Frodo on turn 1. It's an Imperial Seal on turn 1 from our opponent, so typically means that we're up against a really strong player here. It is a Skrelv now. So yeah, Verdant Catacombs. And maybe getting Summoning Sickness away from Mother of Runes would be a good idea. maybe go for Skrelv and Mother of Runes. It could be that they went for a board wipe there, but I think it might be likely that he went for some kind of removal. So let's just really try hard to protect our commander here and swing it anyway, not that it does anything. Turns out it was a Jeweled Lotus our opponent went after, so Magic Online, if you'd like to show us. Yeah, Jeweled Lotus, so out comes the Korvold, and had to sacrifice their land, so down to a one lander. They better hope that we don't draw into removal for that Korvold. Alright, there is now a Lauren of the third path, and I think we're fine. Mask of Memory could be an idea, because yeah, if we go Mask of Memory, we can give Frodo protection from whatever colour we want to get through the Korvold, so yeah, if we're looking at more cards with Mask of Memory, then that would be an idea. Just means that we're taking a turn off being tempted, unfortunately. Shocking a Godless Shrine. And then we'll go for Mother of Runes because we don't have to take life to that. Give protection from black to get through the Korvold. And in we swing, and hopefully Skrelv will be able to protect against any kind of spot removal on the Frodo as well, hence the reason I got both of them in. So Mask of Memory hits and triggers. We will draw 2, and okay, there's a Nazgul, so if we get down the Rogue's Passage next turn, we can get down 2 Nazgul, so it does leave us empty-handed, but we'll have a card to discard after the draw step next turn. Yeah, let's risk getting rid of Lauren. Really trying to get into some kind of removal for the Korvold. Hence the reason I thought it was good to take a turn off to get the Mask of Memory going. And our opponent decided not to swing in, doesn't want to sacrifice his land. Okay, there's a Sun Titan, which is probably going to get discarded. So play ourselves a Nazgul to be tempted by the ring for the first time. Frodo is the ring bearer. Plus counter on the Nazgul. And then 3 mana from the Dark Ritual gets us into another Nazgul. And the same occurs again. So we are now at level 2, and let's swing in. Because we're at level 2, we get to discard just for swinging in. So there is a Spirit Mantle, definitely get rid of the Sun Titan. And we are the ring bearer, of course, so Korvold can't block here because its power's too great. So draw 2 and discard 1. A Sol Ring, Anguished Unmaking's what we've been looking for, so maybe get into a land for Spirit Mantle and Anguished Unmaking next turn, so we go for the Sol Ring. That does make looting and everything more useless, but yeah, we might get both of these down next turn. Maybe there's not much use for the Spirit Mantle, so could discard that, but we need to look at starting to level up Frodo as well. Alright, seeing another spell, that is a Jeska's Will. We've got 2 cards in hand, they obviously control their commander, so I get 2 red mana, and just see a bunch of black stuff here. So, can't do anything with that as far as I can tell. Okay, and yeah, that's that. Up against Karn's Silver Golem this time, with a Dark Ritual. Does that help us? With a 1-lander, could go for Read the Bones on turn 1 to try and get something going. We do go down a card on the first mulligan here, so whatever, we'll try it. We are on the play, so do not draw a card on turn 1. Alright, and there's a Tainted Field on top with a Generous Gift. Don't think I'm going to keep the Generous Gift, we just need to try and get into lands as best we can, so Tainted Field on top draws us into a couple of lands, that's excellent. Probably get Call of the Ring going next turn as opposed to our commander, because like I said before, we want to get up to level 4 on the ring straight away and then Alpha Strike with this. Turn 1 Sol Ring off the back of a Blinkmoth Well for our opponent. And there's a Dranith Magistrate, which switches off the commander, so yeah, are we just doing the control thing here? I think that's alright. Force our opponent to try and deal with that, because Karn's Silver Golem decks do rely quite heavily on this as far as I'm aware. We see a Semblance Anvil with a... yeah, that's of course an artifact underneath it, making artifacts cost 2 less. Went for the Scroll Rack and dumped some cards back on top into a free Expedition map. So he's going to be able to get a bunch of free artifacts down, I think, but yeah, whilst they're doing that, they can't really make card advantage with the Scroll Rack, so I don't know if I'm too worried about it. Now this turn we can go for Call of the Ring and start getting that temptation on the go, and then it's really between the Mother of Runes we've just drawn into and the Frodo. Mother of Runes actually doesn't help us against a colourless deck, does it? So that's a pretty obvious pick there. And might as well hit our opponent, not that we really care about life. Expedition map being cracked, so could go for Okay, Mishra's Workshop. I was thinking of the land that destroys things of a certain CMC. Okay, God Pharaoh's statue is going to make our stuff cost more, so I'm glad I got down the Frodo. The ring tempts us at the beginning of the turn, so once again Frodo is the ring bearer, and then we will put life into Call of the Ring, so that gets us into a Nazgul, and an Isolated Chapel is a great draw as well. Wouldn't have drawn into that without putting the 2 life into the enchantment, so that was a good choose. So the Nazgul now costs 5 mana. We've got Angelic Gift we could cast. We just have to start levelling up Frodo, I think. Does mean that we can't hold up any other spells. So swing in with our now 2/3 Frodo. And we'll go up to likely just level 3 next turn with the ring. 1 from this, and then tempted by Frodo as well. Going for that scroll rack again. I'm not sure if they'll see additional cards there. Maybe just wanted to play things in a different order. And there's a Hedron Archive, so they can draw more cards with that. Followed by a free Relic of Progenitus. And cracking the Hedron Archive to draw those 2 cards, so up to 3 in hand. And there is a Buried Ruin. Followed by a Lodestone Golem, so going to continue to make our stuff cost more. So the ring tempts us. Frodo again, you know the cycle at this point. We'll put life into the enchantment so that we've got more chance of drawing into a land. Chrome Mox might have to do. We do want to keep making mana into all these stacks effects, so yeah, maybe get rid of Mother of Runes at this point, seeing as how it's pretty useless during this matchup. Although we do need triple black, so yeah, I think we're fine to get rid of a Nazgul, because we're going to fully power up the ring just with the enchantment alone. And like I say, we need triple black for the commander, so level up the Frodo. So we're level 2 on the ring now, which means we get to loot, gets us into that land that we needed, so I think we're fine to get rid of the Angelic Gift. We're getting through this thing anyway, thanks to Frodo being the ring bearer and having a small amount of power. And then it hits, we're tempted by the ring again. So we're up to level 3, we'll be at level 4 next turn, thanks to Call of the Ring. We'll put 2 life into it again. There's another land. I think the Dranith Magistrate really helping us here. So yeah, all we're looking to do next turn is be tempted by this for a 4th time and then hit with the Frodo and we're done, hopefully. Our opponent has seen some new cards. Can fish out the Hedron Archive with the Buried Ruin. And that's exactly what he does. So playing that out, going for some more card draw, we might see a scoop here. Saw an activation of the Relic of Progenitus to put graveyards in exile. Activating the scroll rack again, but our opponent's out of mana pretty much here. Okay, getting down a waste, so 4 mana available. Everything costs less thanks to the Semblance Anvil. Alright, yeah, and our opponent can't quite get there. Being able to switch off the Khan with the Dranith Magistrate was enough. So, like I said, we get the ring fully powered up next turn, hit our opponent, and win with Frodo. Alright, I just hosted a game and the same opponent joined in, so we'll see if holding off his commander is what won us that game there. We can be tempted by the ring just once here, but we've got some removal. So, yeah, let's try it. So Silent Clearing is the white mana that we need in order to play out the commander. See how much fast mana our opponent gets into. Because it's an artifact deck, so they're always going to get into it. Mana Vault into the 1 Power Stone means at least 3 mana next turn. Alright, Godless Shrine is a good get, so slam that down for 2 life. And I think we can go for Slip on the Ring now in order to be tempted by the ring, because we don't want to flicker the Frodo whilst its level is up. So yeah, let's just swing in here. Can we level up at instant speed? Yes we can, so we can decide what to do during our opponent's turn. A Liquimetal Torque for our opponent means that they can turn our commander into an artifact and then blow it up potentially. Obviously it's mana as well. Okay, so let's just go for Slip on the Ring now. Not as likely that we'll get into... our opponent will get into any spot removal in colourless. So we've been tempted once now, which is good. Got an Urborg of our own, which means we don't have to take life to the Silent Clearing, which could be relevant. So do we just go Anguished Unmaking onto the Warm Power Stone at this point? I think that's alright. And once again, we just hit our opponent for the sake of it. Doesn't do anything whilst our opponent's, or whilst our commander isn't leveled up. Just trying to control my opponent like we did in the last game. Still got stuff to do though. There is a Thought Vessel, but they're still quite a ways away from their commander, I think. So is it now time to get down the black gate? We will bolt that into play. And I think it's now time to level up the Frodo, which, yes, we haven't leveled up yet, so level 2 on that. And then we might as well get down the Angelic Gift to draw a card as well. Alright, and that gets us into a Nazgul to be tempted by the ring next turn, so maybe get into a land for Spirit Mantle and level 3 on Frodo next turn. Still can't untap the Mana Vault thanks to losing the Warm Power Stone. So could have bought ourselves a few turns here by getting rid of that. Okay, Mox Opal into a land, could see the commander. We haven't seen a single land yet. And that is a Khan, the Great Creator. We do have some artifacts in the form of equipment and rocks and things, but not massively reliant on them. Okay, and they did take the Warm Power Stone from exile there, minused on the Khan, and put the Warm Power Stone into their hands, so we know they've got that here. Which means, without a land, maybe they'll just play the Warm Power Stone next turn. A Vamp Tutor could be worth holding on to, so we will go for level 3 on the Frodo, and let's forego the Khan for now, seeing as how we're just going to play around the fact that we don't have artifacts. And we hit, we are tempted by the ring, that's level 2 on the ring, and yeah, we'll see what our opponent does, but we're likely going for a Vamp Tutor at the end of the turn. And now deciding to untap the Mana Vault, so doesn't fancy his odds of getting into a land apparently. Did get into one though, so could have gone for his Khan there. And now seeing the Warm Power Stone, and then just tapping down the Mana Vault straight away to go for the Warm Power Stone, so yeah, not sure what his aim was there. Doesn't have the mana to activate the Inkmoth Nexus, which will be able to block the Frodo. So, yeah, might be worth going for the Spirit Mantle sometime soon. Although we can also make it unblockable with the Seasoned Dungeoneer. Alright, so let's go for this Vamp Tutor and see what we want to do here. Do we just go for the Dranith Magistrate again in order to shut down our opponent's commander? That way we'll be able to go for the Spirit Mantle. Seemed to make them struggle last time. Or we could do something else. We maybe want to go for the Nazgul this turn so that we can get up to level 4. So maybe we could just go for Bilbo's Ring. Where's that? Could just play and equip Bilbo's Ring, get up to level 3 this turn, then drop the Nazgul and get straight through next turn. Yeah, let's try that. This also draws us a card. It means that we might be able to play a land still this turn so that we can go Spirit Mantle and the Nazgul. Alright, our opponent's getting impatient here. Now, it's easy to get annoyed at things like this. But if you think about, not to go all armchair psychologist on you, but if someone's getting irritated like that, it's usually because they're losing and they really value winning. So that might show us that our opponent's struggling here, the fact that he's getting irritated with us like that. It's not a dead cert, but I've found it to be the case more often than not. Yeah, and I totally forgot about Bilbo's Ring there whilst I was doing the commentary. It's an artifact, doesn't help with Khan. Let's see here, get rid of... Are we going to make use of this Seasoned Dungeoneer? Yeah, let's get rid of that, because Dam can get rid of the Khan. I was thinking of like going for Double Strike with Frodo. We could get the ring leveled up to 4. But I'm pretty sure you have to be at level 4 by the time Frodo hits. So Double Strike might help next turn, it doesn't help this turn. There's nothing to stop us going for... I didn't play a land there, did I? Yeah, there's nothing to stop us going for the Nazgul and then hitting our opponent next turn, because it'll have the Spirit Mantle on it, protection from creatures. Although there's the Inkmoth anyway, so they're not thinking of blocking with the Inkmoth Nexus. There is a Spine of Issar, so the Bilbo's Ring wouldn't have helped us there anyway, and we would have just lost the Spirit Mantle. So our commander goes into the command zone. We're going to get a longer game apparently, and then turning the Spine of Issar into a big summoning sick creature, which does risk it getting a source to Plowshares. Silence is potentially going to help us next turn, so buys us time getting our commander back into play. Yeah, we just go for the Silence during our opponent's upkeep here. See if he wants to pay for the Mana Vault before anything else. He does not, because if we'd gone for the Silence there, he might think to himself, I might as well put mana into this and untap it, if I'm not going to be doing anything else this turn. So Silence will keep our opponents from casting spells. It's basically a turn off. Can still activate the Khan and swing in with the Spine. Alright, so we could blow up the Spine of Issar, but that would have it go into their hand again and they could blow something up once more, so probably a good idea not to do that. Let's finally get down this Nazgul. And that means that we are at level 4. Choose Frodo as our ring bearer. And obviously we've still got to level it up yet, so not much point in swinging in. We don't have any hexproof or anything for it, unfortunately, so yeah, protection from colours and things wouldn't help in this deck. Just get it up to level 2, ready for next turn. We'll be able to go for the Spirit Mantle and level 3 on it next turn, hopefully. Not going to swing into the Inkmoth Nexus, although, yeah, if they decide to block with that, it will kill it, so doesn't particularly matter. Do we need to deal damage with this? Yeah, it does need to deal combat damage, so if we got enough minus counters on it, it could be relevant. So now our opponent's in a position where he has to get rid of us here. And now we see a network terminal to add more mana. They can loot with that as well, try and fish for an answer. And then followed by Spear of Resistance being animated means that unless we get a land here, we can't level up the Frodo and go for the Spirit Mantle. So let's see what happens here. Okay, there's the Ganjo. So that means that we did get into a land this turn, of course. Go up to level 3. And then they've held up the mana for the Inkmoth Nexus. But Spirit Mantle going to give protection against creatures on our Frodo. And our opponent scoops immediately. Let's see if he had any clever remark to say about that. No, just bounced immediately. So yeah, that is Frodo, Sauron's Bane. Made a few goofy errors there, like immediately forgetting about Bilbo's ring being an artifact into the Khan, but you can see how we want to play this deck. It's basically, can be a little bit clunky here and there, trying to fit in when to level up Frodo. But if your opponent doesn't have too much interaction and you can level up the ring quite quickly, which we can in this deck, just didn't see it too much in these games, then you can actually get pretty consistent turn 5, turn 6 wins off. So hopefully you all enjoyed it. If you want to see it again, then let me know in the comment section. I'm Tribalkai. Thank you for watching.